It's funny. I at some point, long time ago, I actually even written an article, and it's one of those widely distributed articles on our blog that says that there is no such thing as low-hanging fruit. Now, my thinking has evolved since then, and it really depends on the website and what you see on the website. Many of the sites that I see today, some of the websites that I see today that are created by UX designers, there's a UX team, sometimes there's an experimentation team. It's difficult to find a low-hanging fruits. Talking to a company right now with a conversion rate of about 8.5%, and they're looking to increase that conversion rate. Well, guess what? They've been experimenting, running on average about 150 experiments per year, which is good, 10 experiments per month. That's impressive. Most of these experiments are not successful, but that tells you that they've tried many things and they actually follow a process and structure. I look through their website and I'm like, okay, most of the easy usability things, they've already covered them. They've done the usability testing. So are there low-hanging fruit on their website? Probably not. There's a second set, kind of the other extreme set of websites that every once in a while I look at them and I think they are successful in spite of themselves, in spite of the best efforts not to be successful on their sites. Usability is broken, the experience is broken, and for those, yes, there are lots of low-hanging fruits. I always give the example. We had this one company signed up with us, and this is back in 2017, 2018. And their CEO calls me about 3 weeks into the project, and he says, listen, we're having a problem. And they're a SaaS company. We're having a problem in the sign up. Our conversion rates, they had an abandonment rate of about 40%, 37, 40%, if I remember correctly. And he said it just shot up to about 80% overnight. My first thought was, thank God we didn't touch that area. I'm like, oh, I hope we didn't break something there. Because there's always a possibility, correct? As you roll things. First thing I did, I'm like, okay, well, let me have somebody from the team take a look at this, but I wanted to see what happened. So I go through the process. I'm like, let me create an account, and I didn't see anything. Type in my email, type in my password. I have a standard password that I use on all non-essential websites. And it told me that my password is weak. I'm like, okay, well, I guess let me just use this other password that I use. I don't like to share it. Go with it. Password is weak. Okay, so let me combine both the easy password, the silly password, with the very difficult password. Password is weak. I use LastPass. I'm like, okay, let LastPass creates to give me a password. And LastPass pops up password. Password is weak. And I'm like, what? Now I had in LastPass 12 characters, a mix. They also complained about one of the things. So I had to change one of the options. And I called the CEO right away. I'm like, listen, I don't even need one of my team members to go through the process. I couldn't create a password, even using a password generator. It could not figure out a password. What happened? I don't recall you guys having a problem like this. And he's like, well, they had a security breach about 5-6 days before. And their software architect decided that their password policy was not strong enough. So he changed it. And as a result, people are not able to sign up. And there was a huge breakdown in the flow. Is that a low-hanging fruit? You bet you that's a low-hanging fruit. Do we need to fix it? We need to fix it. It's I understand that you're really worried about security, but there's this fine balance of doing something really silly versus doing something so restrictive. It's oh yeah, well, it's very secure. It is so secure that no one can sign up for the service anymore, for the subscription anymore. So those are the two extremes, correct? No low-hanging fruit, or very few things, very high opportunity. Lots of websites nowadays, what I see is they have all the elements that we need to improve the website conversion rates on the page itself. Everybody understands on a PDB, on a product display page, on the product page for an e-commerce website, that you need to have reviews, you need to have the specs, you need to have good copy, you need to have images, you need to have a good add to cart button. This is not a usability issue, but I always tell people it's not necessarily a low-hanging fruit. Sometimes it is, sometimes it's not. You have all the right elements, but you just threw them to the page. It's just somebody puked all the good information on the page, and it's not well structured in a way that really considers the thoughts of the visitor. So I tell them that's the problem that we have over here. You have the right elements that are not structured correctly. Sometimes this is a low-hanging fruit because sometimes it's just so obvious that I'm like, this is really not good. Sometimes no, it's not the low-hanging fruit because it requires a lot of research, a lot of thinking, a lot of usability testing, a lot of experimentation until you get the right formula. But I'll give another example from a low-hanging fruits. You're an apparel company, you sell apparel to women. The sizing chart is extremely important, and trying to explain that sizing chart. That's a low-hanging fruit that we know, correct? So yeah, it's a mix. Sometimes there is, sometimes there isn't. Really depends on your website and the opportunity that you have on the website and what the type of work. And sometimes there are areas of the website that are just absolutely incredible. There is no low-hanging fruit in them. Sometimes there are areas where I'm like, oh, well, we can fix this and we can fix it really quickly. So typically, whenever we start on a project, one of the very first things that we do is we do an expert review, usability review of the website, and we create two different lists. One is what we call the low-hanging fruits, things that we see that we know we can fix this and we can show really quick improvements. And the other list is kind of more, okay, we need to think about this point. We need to consider it and do further analysis. I like our quick wins / low-hanging fruits because that's gives us credibility. Everybody who signs up with us, I have to talk to them. I have to see them face to face. If we're just on a Zoom call and you without your camera, we're not gonna work we're not gonna work with you. I gotta see you. I gotta feel comfortable with you because conversion rate optimization is hard, and I don't want to make life harder by not working with the right company. It's as simple as that. So I always tell people, I'm like, hey, before you sign up, have your camera on, man. I gotta see you. Some people gets really annoyed. I'm like, well, this is the way we work. You don't have to have your camera on during our weekly calls when you start working with us, but I gotta feel comfortable with you. So it is important though that we evaluate. Sometimes the site is doing really well, but the landing pages, because lots of times technology teams are very strict and they're very slow. So what marketers end up doing is they put together quick landing pages. They use Unbounce, they use other services like, oh, here, quick, we don't have to talk to our technology team. We can do this on our own. And then you see disconnect between the ad and the landing page. So there's lots of opportunity on those landing pages.
Nice. As you were talking, I was kind of thinking of, you were talking about usability issues, right? Like usability optimization. But do you think those kind of low-hanging fruits that relate to usability have a high impact on conversions?
Oh man, that's a tough one. That is a tough one. To me, usability issues really varies as well. I expect usability issues to have minimal impact. Now, they will make the visitor experience better on the website. Are they going to take you from 2% to 3%? No. Rarely do they do that. You might see a 3, 4, 5% lift. Sometimes you don't. So there's two things when you're testing those usability issues, the low-hanging fruit. Sometimes, yes, they will have a big impact. Sometimes you say, you know what? I am fixing this issue. I am going to A/B test it, but I don't even really care to find a winner. I just want to make sure that this new design that I've introduced does not reduce conversion rate. So it is what we call a non-inferiority win. We introduced a new variation. It did not help increase conversion rates, but guess what? It helped create a better user experience. And I want that better user experience because sometimes I go to a website and I try and really check out through the website. I already have the credit card in hand and the experience is so horrible that I'm like, God, man, take my money. Come on, for God's sake.